Verrassing. Normaal krijg je 2 wekelijks op dinsdag een nieuwe aflevering van Toekomstmuziek onder je neus, maar deze konden we niet laten liggen, want de fantastische Anastasia Kobekina is in het land. Een gedreven muzikante met de flair van een rockster. Wie zo af en toe eens op sociale media zit, heeft misschien de Russische celliste Anastasia Kobekina al eens zien passeren. Deze en volgende week soleert ze bij Symfonieorkest Vlaanderen. Dus spraken we af in haar loge om een halfuurtje te babbelen over muziek, over de herwonnen vrijheid van barok, over het feit dat hokjes helemaal niet bestaan en over de kracht van live muziek. Veel luisterplezier. Hi Anastasia.
Hello Sven.
Thank you very much for doing the podcast. When I was preparing for this conversation, I listened to a lot of podcasts, interviews, a documentary on the German television. And my German is not that good, but I try to understand as much as possible. What I noticed is that you radiate a lot of joy when talking about music, when playing music. Is that something that's inside of you that just has to come out?
I don't know, to be honest. Maybe I don't think about it much, but I definitely don't want my audience to see the work behind. Mm-hmm. I think it's not... they're not coming for these to the concert. No, yeah. It's about experiencing something, and I don't want them to see how much work is behind, and this is not matter.
Yeah, okay. You try to put a lot of interpretation in your playing, not playing very strictly what is written, but feeling the music.
Yes, I think so. You know, classical music is often the environment of classical music or musicians are thinking of playing for the experts. You know, we are taught in a very strict way, and assuming that our audience are the experts and know all the details, but often I think we forget that behind all these rules, actually the music is about us human, about our experience, about our emotions and some life experiences. No, it should trigger emotions, and of course the music is speaking also on an intellectual level. But there is also another parallel wave is speaking directly into the human to human, and I think that's very valuable, especially in our world, which is so digitalized, and we no longer know what is real or fake. I think the experience of coming into a classical concert or into the hall and listening to acoustic instruments, no amplification, all raw life right here. This is the beauty of a concert experience.
How old were you when you realized that? When you felt the power of classical music?
I think mostly I felt strong about music having a power in the moments, in the private moments, when I played to someone who was in a moment of sorrow or a difficult life situation, or when I could share a joy through the music. And I think those moments are those when I felt music being alive. Mm-hmm.
You came in touch very early with music. Your father is a composer. You started playing the cello when you were 4. Do you remember why the cello?
Well, I don't quite remember because it's been so long time ago, but my parents told me a few stories about how it happened, and one of the stories is that I came to a Philharmonie hall with my parents to my first symphonic orchestra.
In Yekaterinburg?
Yekaterinburg, yes, in Yekaterinburg, in Ural. Very, very far. And I think I must have been like around 3 or something, or maybe 2, even 2.5. And it was a children's concert with the symphonic orchestra. And I escaped from my mom, and there was a stairs lead from the cello side of the orchestra, cello section. So I climbed during the piece those stairs and sat then next to the cello group and very happily looking into the hall and kind of belonging to a group. So my parents thought that's a sign. But also my mom was teaching in a music school, and one of the afternoons I came with her because there was no nanny available, and one of, I was, every kid had an instrument and I didn't. And, so I kept opening the doors and, putting my head inside and kind of trying to grasp the attention with some cuckoo, some signs. And then the cello teacher invited me to play cello. So that was maybe a second sign. And my mom found me already holding the cello and trying to pluck strings. And they thought, why not? 2 pianists at home, it's already enough.
It's already enough. Yeah, you couldn't fit a third piano in there.
Yeah, impossible.
Yeah. When you were young and you also sang, you still do? Playing cello and singing together?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. The cello in history has had the connotation of evoking the human singing voice. It resonates in the same timbre, maybe, like the voice.
Yeah, the range of the cello is very much like a human voice, and I take a lot of inspiration from various singers, and not only classical singing but also pop singing, and I think it's because imagination and the voice are located so close to each other. Maybe the contact, the line is so direct. Yeah, so we never even think about how to make a line. I don't know, sounding intimate or personal. Whether when I play cello, there is quite few obstacles between my imagination and the technique. So I'm trying always to shorten this way and to imagine so strongly, so vividly the way I want to sound it, and also following the human intonation. We always do this music. We are musicians in our everyday speech, and I try to find these intonations in music. And
has the cello become like a second voice for you?
It's definitely my voice. Yeah, when I'm on stage, this is my medium, my voice. When
did you realize that you were actually good at the cello?
I think, I grew up in Russia, and there are a lot of children competitions. This phenomenon of Wunderkind is very much supported by the system, and so I was doing a lot of competitions and some auditions when I was a kid. And while I was studying in Yekaterinburg, in this village in Ural, at some point I realized that I was maybe better than some of my colleagues, but then I arrived when I was 12. My mom actually moved with me to Moscow to study, for me to attend the school, the conservatory, the school. And there I quickly understood that I'm not any longer among the best kids. And that was a lot of, it was a hard school. And probably some of my most difficult years were studying in Moscow, and probably the first years when I moved to Germany, because that was another time when I realized that I have so much to learn, and still the way to the sound in the imagination that I have, to transform it to the real sound is a very long way. That was hard times to acknowledging this.
Yeah. How old were you when you moved to Germany?
I was 18.
18. Yes. So 12 to 18 in Moscow, and then afterwards.
Yes.
Okay. And that was in I forgot. Frankfurt? No.
Yes, I did study in Kronberg at the beginning. It's a small academy, private academy near Frankfurt. And then I did study in Berlin, in Paris. And my last studies were in Frankfurt on barok cello.
Barok cello, yeah. Why did you feel the need, after visiting 4 or 5 conservatories, to study the extra barok cello?
I don't know. I felt I was looking for a new input, for a new way of playing Bach, for example. Yeah, of course, we cellists have these 6 suites, which remain to be the core of the repertoire.
Which I love your recording, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, and when I started looking for my approach to this music, of course I played this on to various musicians, and not only cellists, and I think every musician, every cellist have its own way of playing this music because it's such a personal pieces. It's impossible to to distance yourself from the music. It reflects you, and so I couldn't find my own way of playing it. And then I met Christine van der Gold, a fantastic baroque cellist, and I was fascinated by her freedom. In classical music, we have so many, unspoken rules. It's like collective mind rules that everybody's supposed to follow in a way that you should play this way in order to succeed in competition, audition, and sort of. And then in Baroque world, you have a lot of written rules actually from 300, 400 years ago, from all these sources about how you're supposed to play. But then when you listen to Baroque musicians, they are so incredibly free in the way they interpret the music. I was just blown away by how much freedom the Baroque musicians had, and I realized how square I was playing, and this gave me such an incredible experience. So I started then to practice, Schumann, of course, Robert Schumann, or Franz Schubert on gut strings, and I was trying to apply the language that I found in Baroque music, this freedom of interpretation, to the core repertoire, like Dvorak concerto, for example, or Haydn concerto, which I'm playing here. Yeah, so it was an incredibly enriching experience for me, because in Baroque music we don't have so much notation about dynamic or about tempo. Yeah, so we relatively free, and often the composers also left out the articulation. Yeah, so it's the almost infinite freedom. Yeah, and this taught me a lot how to approach the music.
Like when you recorded the cello suites, did you change your mind take after take, or do you have a vision of how it should sound?
I think I don't, because this music is transforming so every day, and every day we are different people, and with different thoughts and things that important, or we are worried about different things. Life is going on, and this music always manage to reflect all the palette of emotions that I experience in this very moment. And so I don't have a fixed interpretation, and I don't think that is something that I want to have. Yeah, of course, for the recording, it was very difficult to
choose.
It was some of the most difficult moments, because when I was recording, it was so much fun. I tried to play every time differently, to highlight different note, or to shape the phrase differently, to experiment with dynamics. And the microphone is so close, so you can almost whisper and shout, and then the range is so big. And that was fun. But then, I found myself back to listening to those. I think I had around 400 something takes for this 2.5 hours music.
Yeah.
So at least for each movement, I played it at least 10 times. So then I had to choose which of those I like. And I think those that were played in the most spontaneous way, almost improvisative, improvisation way, felt true to me. Yeah, because I don't know, those moments when I played it through, when I was working and playing 10 times one movement and next one, and then at the end I played the whole suite. Often I took those takes from there when I just played it without thinking.
The Haydn concerto that you're playing with Vlaanderen Symfonieorkest, that's a piece that you also have been playing for over 10 years? I reckon. What attracted you? What attracts you to the music? Why do you love coming back to it?
Oh, it's the music that is just radiating so much joy and such a luminous, of course, the tonality C major, but also all the details. It's it's no cloud day. But and then the second movement, which is so much like an aria. Although we think about classical period, being so with buttons up and all these manners, where it's one is so strict about the manners, still the fire, the passion is inside, and I think this concerto is very much representing it, by its form being so representative, so almost royal, and then there's so many details to play with.
Are you still discovering new details?
Oh yes, of course, because every time I play with different musicians, it influences me. Of course, different halls, different acoustic, and also the feeling of the presence of audience in the very moment in the hall. That's something that also influences the moment. So although it's music that I've been playing for many years, it's never the same, and I always go on stage with this expectation of unknown, and I'm always very nervous.
You're rehearsing with the Vlaanderen Symphony in Bruges. You're coming playing in Ghent. It will be the first time you enter the hall. How long do you need to feel the hall, to feel the acoustic, to feel the presence of the audience? Is that instantly, or?
It's very different. I'm a very sensitive person to the surrounding, to the people, to their energy, and also to the energy of the hall. It sounds very esoteric, but it's true. I kept denying it for a few years, but finally I acknowledged this, and the atmosphere of the hall and the musicians with whom I play, it influences me a lot, and sometimes I need to be aware of that if I don't want this influence. So it's always a wonder. Finding my place in the hall, and also trying to embrace the whole space. It's for me, it's very important to feel the space around me and how I produce the sound. I think it's about playing music is not actually about making the sound, but it's a lot about communicating it, and a lot about my presence on stage, on my energy level. There is so many ways of being on stage, being with kind of, the energy this way, or maybe 3 meters, 5 meters, or around, the whole, the 380 degrees. And this is something that I am always working on, because it's not every day that I'm feeling like I want to radiate. And that's normal, but
it's human.
It's human, but I always try to open as much as I can, because I think in our world where actually visual is so important, all senses are active. It's not only about listening. It's we often don't really listen. We receive the information from as a total one, and that's I think it's very important also to think about it.
I noticed I was in rehearsal last 20 minutes, and I noticed I was watching you play, and it added an extra level to the music, because I could hear the notes, I could hear the music, and I could see the joy on your face while playing it. I could feel the energy coming from you, and it added another layer to the music.
I think the music is alive in the moment when it's played, when there is a player and a listener, and this communication makes the music live, and I think that's precious about it. And to tell a story, you need a listener, and that's why the live concerts are such a such a need. And I think in COVID times we all felt this more than at any other times. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. During COVID, I was working for a Symfonieorkest, so I had the opportunity to sit in the hall by myself during a live-streamed concert. That was the first time in half a year that I heard live music, and it was so overwhelming. It was Mozart Requiem, which is one of my favorite pieces of all time. It's hard to think that we had that much time without live music.
Yes, and of course we have so many great recordings in the catalogue of any music. Yeah, but there is something absolutely unreplaceable in a moment when so many humans, so different people, united in one room and experiencing something together, but at the same time in its very personal way. And we all have our own version of the concert, and each musician on stage and each audience member. But still it's something, the togetherness is very much alive in this moment.
I noticed in your calendar, a very busy calendar by the way, that you try to get out of the, let's say, traditional concert format, like the 3 a.m. Royal Albert Hall concert, or last week in Berlin, I reckon, you played the Bach cello suite with a dancer on stage as well. Is that the kind of renewal we need?
Well, I can only say for myself, I need it very much. And it's, for me, this project outside of the standard repertoire are absolutely needed. It's like, is my passion. And I discover so much in unusual locations, playing music in unusual locations, or combining different arts. And I really want to do more of that, because I think it's very refreshing to try out different things, different ways of making music, and playing also not one type or style of music, but also different. And in my free time, I also listening to all sorts of different music, and taking inspiration from other artists. I think it's one shouldn't deny the rest of the music, which is, I think, sometimes is happening in the classical music world. That, of course, it's the greatest music written ever, and it's already proved its greatness by existing and being actual after 200, 300 years and 400, 500. Yeah, it's the essence is resonating with people of today, despite the time gap. Yeah, but there's so much other great music, and sometimes I love going also to non-classical concerts and experiencing this different way of communication. And what I love about other, let's say, pop artists, rock musicians, is this presence on stage. They're absolutely free and direct in the way of how they communicate with people. And I also want to leave behind all the fears of being right or correct in the way how I play this passage. Or of course, there are many years of studies putting this layer of certain must. Good sound, good articulation, good intonation, being, on so many to-do lists, it's very long. But I think the audience, they don't care about it. They come to listen to the music because they love the music, because they maybe listened it on the recording, but they want to experience it live, and they don't care about what the to-do list I have, to fulfill. So I try, I try to give them what they came for, and that's where I also take inspiration from non-classical musicians.
I'm very curious what kind of music you listen to.
All sorts of, I grew up in a very classical family. So my father is a composer. And, it was very traditional. So no other music was accepted in the house. So now I have my teenager years of discovering...
In Berlin.
Yes, in Berlin. Discovering all the music, and going to the live concerts as much as I can. And,
I saw that reflected in your album Venice, which has Vivaldi, but also Brian Eno and Garland Shaw. I saw that Bryce Dessner is writing a cello concerto for you as well. That's quite the spectrum, music as old as Barbara Sozzi, for example, as well on that album, to playing contemporary music. Or is all music the same?
Yeah, I think I don't really think about it that this comes from this century and this is from today's music, and it's just the music. And if something really resonates with me, speaks to me, then I want to play this music. And of course, the style of playing, let's say, baroque music and maybe some of romantic pieces is completely different. But the essence of the music is there. It's just a different dialect of the same language.
Maybe one final question.
Yeah, sure.
When people are coming to the concert with Vlaanderen Symphony and they're listening to the Haydn, what should they be thinking about?
No, I don't want to impose anything to the audience. I hope they just enjoy the moment, being embraced by this music, which is so radiant, so full of joy and love and generosity. This music is a sunlight, and I think in our today's world is sometimes good to escape from the reality just for a bit and to recharge from the source of music, to take the energy and
Okay, let's do that.
To carry it on.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Op zaterdag 28 maart hoor en zie je Anastasia Kobekina, samen met Symfonieorkest Vlaanderen onder leiding van Martijn de Dievel. Ik weet dat ik het ongeveer elke keer zeg, maar dit wil je echt niet missen. Nog iets dat je niet wil missen is de volgende aflevering van Toekomstmuziek uiteraard. Abonneer je daarom alvast op Spotify, Apple of YouTube. Zo krijg je de volgende aflevering gewoon direct onder je neus geleverd. In die volgende 8e aflevering ga ik in gesprek met een lid van het Rieland Trio, violist Jeroen de Beer. Gewoon op dinsdag weer. Tot dan. Toekomstmuziek is een podcast van muziekcentrum De Bijlokke. De muziek die je aan het begin hoorde was Nino Rota's Canto della Buranella van op het album Venice van Anastasia Kobekina. Alle andere deuntjes komen uit de koker van Tom Soetaert.